Alright, this is Mr. Good, and this is our Helpful Hints video for 1.1.1 in Computer Science A. Hopefully you've already watched the Features to Know video I made. So in this one, you want to have your notebook open. So if you have your notebook, which you can find on Classroom or a link in here, jump to 1.1.1 because, I spent the time making the bookmark, so might as well use it. It's a pretty fun feature. I put a little note in here. I think I said in the other video, at the beginning of 1.1.1 is a little link to the escape room at the very end. But we're not going to be doing the escape room because Chromebooks are not as good. And so we're going to just jump right into it, and we'll still have some problems. They just won't be the huge project at the end. So, all right, the things we want to do in 1.1.1 is make your first Java program, find errors, and that is a huge thing that you want to be able to do, is how to read the errors, because you can fix most of your problems by being able to read an error. How to make outputs and the difference between print and print line. So we got all that stuff to learn in here. And at the beginning, we use a Java virtual machine, which is awesome because you don't have to download any special software. You're basically using this little mini machine that's embedded in our problems to run code. Like if I hit run here, you'll see it says, "Welcome to Computer Science A. Hope you have fun learning Java." And if you drag that over, you'll see it prints out on 2 lines. If you drag it over here, you can see what that looks like. You can change this. Hope you have fun. You can change this to whatever and rerun it, and it does it. Hope you have fun. Hope you have 2 kittens. Right? End your parentheses and run it again, and you'll see, it changes over here real time, which is good. So that's how print statements work, and we'll get used to all that. So a couple things with this. One, I have not found a good way to save your work for future. Like if you change that to 2 kittens, and I hit refresh and come back to this, I think it's gone. We're going to find out here. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Hope you have... Oh, it's still there. It saves for a while. I've had other times I come in here and it's gone. So that's good news if my thing crashed or something. I know you can also create a count with this thing here. I think it's called Trinket. Yeah, Trinket. If you ever mess up and it's making an error, you can always reset it. You can download your stuff if you knew you had to leave and you didn't want to lose all your code and changes. You can download it. It just puts it in a Word file, and then you can copy paste it right back in there later. So that's kind of nice. And if it ever messes up, you can just hit reset. Yeah, I'm sure. And it resets it back to normal. So there's that. That's just using this little trinket. This has a bunch of errors, and I figured, and I like that they rewrote this curriculum. By the way, guys, you are very lucky because the people last year, the Computer Science A curriculum was pretty bad. They rewrote everything, and it's so much better. Like, they show you right away, I expect an error to happen. So don't be surprised when I hit run and all these errors come up. What you want to do is start to read these. It says 2 errors. There's 4, but sometimes your 1 error makes it so it can't even see your other error. So we're going to debug this stuff. So my helpful hints, I want to show you a couple things. One is, just being able to read errors. Here's one error. In line 5, it expected a semicolon. Okay, so it even says it. Line 5, see that 5 there? Expected a semicolon. So you go in here and you're like, wait a second. So right here, if I put a semicolon, and how do I know to put it there? Well, if you looked at your example up above, they each have semicolons. So I fixed that error, and if I run it again, you're like, hey, that error's gone, right? Here's another one. On line 6, it expected to see a brace, and you're like, wait a second, you see a brace there. It's already there, no problem, right? Except this brace closes that. There's an open brace and a closed brace. In line 2, there's an open brace, but there's no close. So really, even though it says line 6, it means line 7. And if I run that, you're like, wait a second, I just fixed that error. But what happened is I made a new error after I fixed that error. So sometimes you don't even know how many errors there are. You kind of just fix them one at a time. You know, fake it till you make it. This one says, hello is public and it should be declared. So it has an issue with this word hello. Now, if you're actually going step by step, you would have done the 2 steps we just did in number 5. Number 6 says, based on the error report, fix the semicolon and brace, run it again, and you see new errors. It has an issue with hello, the hello class. And the problem with that is, and you don't know it yet, but your name of the class has to match the file it is saved as. So when you look up here, see how this is saved as hello pltw.java? Your class can't just say hello, it has to say hello pltw. And now that these match, when you run it, it's okay with that. Now a different error came up because it says there's 4 errors. I could have solved that 2 ways. One, I changed this to hello pltw, or you could have gone and changed the file name to just hello. But as long as these match, minus the .java, then you're A-okay. See how reading is kind of cool because it had an error with a class name. Now if I read this error, it says main method not found in class. Please define the main method. And what you'll notice is, I mean, if you didn't know, it says correct the final error. The final error said it had an issue with main method. If you don't know that every class has to have a main method, you go back up here to the example and you're like, oh wait, this said public class welcome, that matched. It said public static, we'll talk about that later. Void, we'll talk about that later. Main. That's where the word main comes in. We'll talk about all these other things, but see this? What's the difference with that and this? It is simply the capitalization. See how it says, it even tells you what it should be. It said, please define the main as public static void main. So you're like, is it really that picky that I have to do that? The answer is yes. Coding is very picky. And look, hello PLTW, I fixed the 4 errors. Huzzah! So that is a quick rundown. This part was probably hard to see if you didn't know to look for it, but a couple things I wanted to show you is look at your other examples and say, oh, I just got to kind of play follow the leader. Spelling matters, having an open and closed brace matters, having semicolons matter, being able to read your error codes, because if you look at all those, it really almost told me what I'm supposed to do. So like if you ever have a problem in class and you call me over, my first question will be, what did the error code say? And if you read that, a lot of times you can figure it out yourself, which is awesome. So here's a lot of vocab, and I wanted to also show you what I haven't been doing yet is going in here and keeping my thing up to date. So one, I always like to put my common misconceptions here. One is Java has the same syntax rules as other languages like Python. If you took CSP last year, which most of you did, then you learned certain ways to, do if statements and while statements. Well, it's all different in Java, so you gotta it's like learning French and learning Spanish, they're not the same, so you have to like learn the little tricks and rules for each language. So it's very similar. Vocabulary. When I come across a word that's highlighted like this, I just want you to read it first of all, and then copy paste it so you'll have it like all in one spot. You know, there's my Java virtual machine. Then I hit enter. And down here, you have what is a statement in Java. And paste it in there. Statement is an action, declaration, expression, control flow. So you're keeping a good list of all the vocab you're expected to know for the AP class. Down here we have syntax errors, and then for number 10 is the first one you actually have to do anything for. Take a screenshot after you fixed all the errors. So you go up here and you do a screenshot of this beautiful thing. And how you do that is you don't just hit the screenshot thing. You hit Control, Shift, and then there, if you're on a Chromebook, there's a button above the number 6 that looks like Windows. It's called the multiple window button. And if you do that, it brings up the little crosshair, and I can just take a snip of that. And if you're on a Chromebook, it automatically says, do you want to copy to clipboard? You hit yes, and it's in your copy, and you can just paste it. Now me, since I'm not on a Chromebook, I have to paste it in here from, oh gosh, you can see how many screenshots I have going on. Right here, because mine tosses on my desktop. And then I put my screenshot. After I fix the errors, I can read your code. And then you say what the common errors are. This is going to grow like exponentially as we go, but some of the common errors are syntax, where you just had a capital instead of, or you misspelled a word. Semicolon. Every statement has a semicolon at the end, or curly braces. These are the 3 most common errors you will ever run across. You misspelled something, you forgot a semicolon, or probably the number 1 error, curly braces. They don't match up top and bottom. Okay, and then you'll go through here and do the rest of it and talk about class and object and method, and we'll summarize some of the stuff later, and what a main method is. And then anytime you come across one of these, you're going to oh, we already did that. And then, you know, answer your questions. And then you'll get into the difference between print and print line. That's an LN. And you can mess with these. What I would suggest is, you know, use copy paste. It's your friend. Copy paste. And you can start to see the difference. Like if you've already, you know, done these things, I don't know why I went out of alphabetical order. You can see what the difference is between print and print line. It goes BC, then AD. What if I changed them all to prints? You know, just start messing around with it, because you can learn a lot by just trying something out. Look at that. What if I made them all print lines? You know, and you can experiment and figure out how to do this stuff. And it's pretty awesome that you can do this right on here. Oh dear. Hit run. So anyway, mess around with that, and you know, you can go through here. I think the rest of the stuff is pretty straightforward. You have a little challenge problem here where you have to make a class, use a main. See how it doesn't have it? Guess what? You got to name it. Your turn. And then always answer your conclusion questions by copy pasting them into your notebook and answering them with complete sentences. Okay. And then boom. So I'll answer this one. What are reasons you'd want to use system.out.print instead of print line? So that's one of the main goals. And then summary of ideas for AP test. We'll make sure we definitely come together in class and summarize stuff you need to know for AP, because I want you guys to do awesome on this. All right, so I'm excited to have this going, and I will talk to you later.